The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. And while the greats mastered the body, the greatest mastered the mind.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of More Than Therapy. Today we have Noah May, host of the Lethal Venom podcast and Auburn University journalism alum. He joins More Than Therapy to share how a lifetime of feeling silence shaped the bold, unfiltered voice he has today. In this episode, Noah opens up about the family and cultural dynamics that taught him to stay quiet, the breaking point that pushed him to finally speak his mind, and how podcasting became both a mic and a mirror for his healing. He and I will dive into the mental health impact of suppressing your truth, the risk and rewards of radical honesty, and what it really costs to become the most authentic version of yourself. I welcome today Mr. Noah May.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to talk with you and share my story today.
Indeed, indeed. So, regarding that, when you say I was silenced all my life, what did that silence actually look like and feel like day to day growing up?
It was just kind of, it really was just kind of loneliness a lot growing up. A lot of my classmates and fellow peers never really paid any attention to me. They really didn't care anything about what I wanted to do or was doing. So I was always kind of never had that voice of opinion, and the only people that really got to see and hear my story and my side was basically my parents and my family at that point. They really they were the only ones that really cared about anything that um, I was really going through. Everyone else was just like, I don't care what you're going through, and it's not my business. I don't really care. And it was tough having to live with that, because there have been some things um, that would like to have talked about with people my age that I could have really asked and related to, and to not have that support was really, it really made growing up really difficult, because asking the questions I had with my parents was just very uncomfortable.
Indeed, indeed. I can totally dig that. If someone met you back then versus meeting you now, what would shock them the most about how you've changed?
I think the boldness and openness I have now, I really have the um I don't give a crap attitude really much anymore. Um, I think a lot of the shyness that I had has really gone away, and I don't know. I think going through what I've been through now and have learned, I think they would have probably more respect for me a little bit, about what I've been through and what I've witnessed. So there's a list of things that I could mention about what they could change, but I think the biggest one would be probably would be the carefree attitude, and I don't really let anything bother me much anymore.
Mm. Was there one specific moment when you realized, if I don't start speaking my mind, I'm going to lose myself?
I would say probably when I was in middle school. I think I was in eighth grade. I got diagnosed with depression at 13. Started showing signs at 13 and didn't get really medically diagnosed till I was 14. So I was still very young at the time when I got it, and that was kind of the time where a lot of my classmates were like bullying me. I was hanging out with the wrong crowd, and I started having suicide thoughts and wanted to commit suicide at the time, and I never really fell through with it because I was just kind of scared to do it. I never really gained the courage and the willpower to actually go through with it. And it was also kind of during that time my grandmother was sick with dementia and Alzheimer's. She recently had gotten diagnosed at the time. So eighth grade was kind of the moment where I had to not stay quiet. It was the moment where I had to finally open up and speak to my parents about what I was going through, what was happening, or else I knew that if I didn't, I would probably not be here today.
Mm. Who benefited from your silence and who has benefited from your decision to finally use your voice?
That's a good question. I don't know really who would necessarily benefit from it. I would say probably the people that really did not like me for some reason. I think keeping me quiet was really what they were really driven to do and really wanted to. I think that was kind of the ultimate goal that they wanted. But in the end, they kind of lost because I started now opening up and have now really shared this story out there, and I've kind of blackmailed them out there a little bit. Without giving names, I've actually been able to share my honest opinions about them. But I don't know. That's a really good question. I haven't really thought about who could have benefited from it. I know a lot of the bullies that I had probably mostly were the ones that mostly benefited from it.
You seem to be a nice, mannerable young man. Why would anybody bully you? What was going on that you feel you were targeted? Were you didn't have any siblings? Were you new to your community? Tell me what was going on.
It was just any multitude of things. I mean, it honestly could be anything. If I had like a red shirt on, they'd bully me for that. If it was I picked like a pink pair of scissors out of a pile of multicolored scissors, they would bully me for it. Like it multitude of other things. Um, some of the serious stuff that they bullied me on was kind of like the sexuality in me a little bit. They always said I was gay when I was growing up, which when they were telling me I did not know what it was. And of course, it didn't really bother me because I didn't know what they were talking about or saying, but it was literally how I talked, how I was walking down the hallway, how I was acting in class. It was just anything. I could blink like any certain way and they'd bully me for it. And then another serious thing that they bullied me for was um, I didn't have a father growing up, and so a lot of my classmates were confused of why I didn't have a father figure in my life, and so they did pick on me for that as well, for not really having the normal quote unquote family that most typical American kids have. So when I mean anything, it was just really anything.
Okay. How did studying journalism at Auburn University train you to question the world, and where did it clash with the way you were raised to stay quiet?
I learned through the journalism degree that a lot of people really were going through the same thing I had been going through. And it made me be more vocal about what I was really going through before I really decided what I wanted to do with my life at the time. Um, I never really once changed my degree in college at all. So as I was learning it, I started becoming more comfortable being able to open up and share my story. And I really enjoyed listening to other people's stories, whether it was something that most people would not really care about to things that everyone would relate to and can feel some kind of um, relatable relatability to. So I've really enjoyed being able to open up and really have gotten all kinds of people's stories and hear just different backgrounds and learning about different cultures. That's really the fun parts of journalism is interviewing random people and hearing their random stories and having that general good connection with regular people.
Okay, okay. What rules from journalism school did you keep, and what rules did you decide to break once you launched the Lethal Venom podcast?
I've pretty much kept a lot of the normal things in journalism into my podcast. The main one that I learned from taking the classes was whenever you're doing interviews to never interrupt a guest, because if you're interrupting a guest, that's really seen as very unprofessional and really rude and very just like out poor taste. So that's something I really have endured into my podcast. I've had people talk for give I can ask a question, they give me a 30-second answer, or I can ask one question and then they talk for 50 minutes and not really have a break in there. So that's one of the things I've really learned about that. Something I have kind of broken has been more of the I don't really hold back on the questions, and I also don't force questions out of people. Um, if it's a very serious topic, I do understand that a lot of the serious conversations that people have are very tough. Like for the people I've interviewed on the podcast, I've had people that have been victims of sexual assaults. They've been victims of very life altering situations. I don't really ask the hard questions. I always have the respect of if you don't want to talk about this subject today, don't talk about it. Just let me know. Um, that tends to be one of the rules I break is I respect people's boundaries and I don't invade on trying to get any kind of information out there if they're not willing to share it.
Indeed, indeed. You describe Lethal Venom as mixing comedy, tough topics, and fun conversations. What does it mean for you to hold both laughter and pain in the same episode?
I tend to always laugh whenever I'm telling about my mental health story, in which some people might think that that might be a little messed up. I kind of bring light to the situation of, I look back at it, and while it was a traumatic time in my life, and it was a very, very important change in how my life was and how my life has become, I like to kind of joke around and joke back on it, kind of put a little jab of jokes in there and try to make it not so depressing and so heavy on the heart that because some people really have difficult time hearing very personal stories sometimes, and usually they kind of have a better reaction if it's a little bit more lighthearted. So I like to try to make it to where it's not such a heavy discussion, it's not such a heavy topic, and it's just kind of an open, carefree conversation of like I can look back at it and say, you know what, it was in the past, I can laugh about it now, and but still have that good grasp of trying to get that story out there.
Okay. When listeners hit play on the Lethal Venom podcast, where you can listen to on anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, what do you secretly hope they walk away questioning about their own lives?
That's a good question because a lot of my episodes span different categories. Like my main focus is on mental health. That tends to be what I really focus on, which I'm a huge advocate for since I've dealt with it. But yeah, I've also had people that have been in the police force, retired EMTs. I've also had doctors on there, psychiatrists, and even just regular people that have like great companies. I had one that came on there that was selling like a new plush, kind of a plush toy to help kids with anxiety, and was happening kind of like as a kind of a comfort um, toy for them to have. So I always like to have just random people, but the main thing that I like people to get kind of get away or take away from it is if it really impacted them and they felt really inspiring and they can really relate to it, that really is all I really care about. And I want my podcast to be kind of an escape from what's going on in the world right now as everything's really chaotic. I just want my podcast to be a place where it's in a 30, 40, sometimes 2 hour time of their day that they can escape from reality and just listen and really be able to relax and just have a nice listening experience and be and not have to worry about things that are going on in their personal life and what they might be going through, other people might be going through. So as long as people find comfort in the show and have like a sense of escape, that's all I really do care about.
Indeed, indeed. I like that. I like that a lot. Your show leans into honest opinions and chaotic recordings. Where's the line for you between being real and being reckless with your words?
Ooh, this might get me in trouble, but I like to kind of have chaotic moments on there. If I can kind of get like a little bit of an argument in there, my audience really loves that. You know, you try to make a show to where it's like, ooh, it kind of gets people interested in talking, and which I don't 100% do that for every show, but I like to try to have like a kind of a argumentative episode a little bit to kind of get different sides, and you know, I'm not dissing them for their opinions or anything. I think I think it's a way to get kind of different sides and get different opinions out there on the show that most people may not have originally thought of before and kind of spark conversation. Um, but I tend to kind of keep it more everything, nothing on my show is really scripted. I just kind of, the only thing that I follow on the scripts like questions I have. But whatever they really say in the moment and whatever I say next after that is usually 100% on the spot. So, I like to have like the authentic feel for the show so that it's more real, it's not scripted, it doesn't sound robotic and already pre-recorded or planned. It's something that's really authentic to where people that are listening won't know what I ask and the guest has a very unexpected thing, and then I feel, and I've had very shocked moments from guests too that have said some wild things out there that have really taken me aback and really have surprised me and struck me.
Oh, I can totally relate to that. What's an episode or guest conversation that changed your own perspective so much you almost didn't recognize yourself as the host anymore?
Oh, the I've had so many good episodes like that, but one that really comes to mind is I had a lady that came on my podcast about 2 or 3 months ago, and she had the most heartbreaking story I've ever heard in my life. It was the most raw, and it was literally the most raw episode I had ever done. It was the most truth telling. I did not leave anything out except she accidentally did call her the person by name. And of course, on my show, I keep privacy 100% confidential because I don't want a lawsuit and I don't want them to get a lawsuit for them speaking crap on somebody. And I like to keep everything kind of mid level so that none of us get in trouble on anything. But um, everything else I kept in, it was just such a heartfelt episode. It actually almost made me cry at times. I actually got choked up, and it's really hard for me to get like relate to really human emotions like that. Like I've always been that kind of person that um never really cried if a person died in a movie, if someone died in real life. I'm just not like that. But like if an animal breaks a toenail, I'm like, and I'm like, hold tissue box over to the side of like trying to get like a tissue. So, her conversation was the first one that it hit hardcore in me. It really, did something. It triggered a really raw emotion, but she was by far my probably top three guests I've had on the show, if not number one, just of how heartfelt the conversation was and just how deep and how honest she was when it came to her story.
Mm, I like that. Speaking your mind can be liberating, but it can also be exhausting. How do you protect your mental health while hosting a podcast that lives in raw, ever so raw honesty?
The episodes really kind of have not really been too mentally impactful on me. Um, I've had a lot of relief with the episodes that were the more solo episodes I've done have been very much very therapeutic in a way. Um, when it comes to other people's stories, I don't think it doesn't really affect my mental health a lot because I kind of scratch the surface of their story, and I kind of leave that, their personal things. I don't really see myself as like a therapist, and this is kind of like their therapy session of like getting their emotions out there. So I wouldn't say that it's mentally challenging on me when it comes to stories, but now when it comes to kind of the work ethic, it does kind of get a little chaotic at times, but for the most part, I kind of have had my mental health maintained pretty well.
Have there been moments where you thought, I went too far on that episode? And how did you handle the vulnerability or backlash afterward?
Oh, I have to really think about this one.
Well, you think about that and we'll go to a commercial break.
Hey, boss. Okay.
I said I'm fine.
Me the babe, see you in the morning with the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it, and we lost it.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
And we're back to the Modern Therapy Podcast. No, Noah.
I'm trying to. I don't think I've had a very controversial episode so far. Now that's bound to happen and come up. Um, I'm waiting for that moment. Um, I have said some things that I've kind of have gone a little far on personally. I have been a little too honest about some of my personal episodes that I've put out there. So if I have to pick an answer, I think it would be those episodes. For the guest, I haven't really had a controversial episode with a guest yet. Now that probably will happen in the future. But for the first season, I didn't really have any problems unless it was like solo episodes where I kind of was getting a little too open about a certain topic. But I haven't received backlash from any users either, or listeners that have been like, "Hey, I think you went a little too far when you talked about that." So, um, so far it's been pretty, pretty good so far. It's not. I haven't really had any backlash yet, which is I'm pretty sure is bound to happen.
Indeed, indeed. What did the younger you need to hear from an adult or role model? And do you feel like you're trying to become that voice through your show now?
I think my younger self looking at me, and if I had to tell my younger self, I would tell him I would say it gets better, and you just have to keep fighting. And I think a lot of people have really praised the podcast mainly because of how open and raw I am on it, and I don't really hold anything back, and I just kind of really tell it like it is. Generally, the general public, and I've had other conversations with males that have been dealing with mental health battles and mental health struggles as well. They all have that same thing of, we kind of have been put in this box of men can't open up and share their opinions. They're kind of shown as weak. They're kind of shown as um it's breaking a persona that we have to kind of portray to the public that shows that, oh, nothing really affects us, nothing gets us down, we're strong men, we don't cry. And it's completely false. I, I mean, you can hear it in my show that everything that I say is completely and false from what the general public makes you think it is. It really is um, a facade that we put on. I guarantee you that a lot of men out there that say that they've never cried a day in their life are most likely lying and saying that, because I can guarantee it 100% that there is someone out there that's a man that's may look like he's happy, is 100% going through something very um very personal and really tough right now that's making him not want to break out and break down and have a crying episode in front of you.
Hmm. How have family, friends, or your hometown responded to this version of Noah who is no longer quiet?
A lot of my people that I went to high school with barely talk to me anymore, so I can't really speak about what they think. Um, the new friends that I have, they are so supportive of everything that I've done. They are so um, they are so happy that I am in a good place now, that they have really been, that I've really shined through this whole thing. My family has always and will forever be supportive. They were a little, as any parent would be, a little like, I don't know if the podcast is going to work for you, but sure, you can try it. I think they were a little bit, um, like, uneasy about it at times. And even my friends, everyone that when I said, oh, I'm starting a podcast up, they're like, okay. I don't think they had any hopes of me, um, it going this successful, but it's actually been able to, has exceeded their expectations, and it has exceeded my expectations. So it's also been kind of a good way to kind of shove it back in people's face a little bit that had doubt a little bit. It's been pretty good to kind of rub it in their face of, you want to say that one more time? And it's like, and it's like, I love being able to kind of flip the script and be like, do you think I made a mistake now? And um, a lot of the people that I have around me now are really supportive. The people from my past, no.
Mm. If your voice is lethal venom, what poison are you trying to draw out of the culture, and what antidote are you offering in this place?
Damn, that was a really good question. Like, um, I think for me, what I like to try to get out of it is relatability in the end. I want people to be able to be open and be their true selves. I don't want others thinking that they have to put this facade on, they have to put a masked image on. I want people to really be their true selves and not be scared to open up and share what they're honestly going through. Because as someone that did for many, many years, it will eat you up, and it will break you down. And if you stay silent for a very long time, it could have serious consequences. And it's some consequences are ones that cannot be reversed and cannot be taken back. So I highly want the public to know that you don't have to be silent anymore. You have a voice. Don't be scared to use it. Someone out there that's secretly going through something you are will be so happy that you're opening up, because then they'll be able to open up and be able to be like, oh my God, I've had that same thought process. I've had those same feelings. I've just been scared to open up because I thought I was the only one going through it. You'd be shocked of how many people have the same kind of relatability that you have. But at the end of the day, I just want people to not be scared that it's a totally normal thing to have in life. It's just something that most people get. You can't control it. You can't, it doesn't like pick you because you did something bad in the past. It just happens. It's like getting the flu. Everyone's going to get it at some point or another. Some people will never get the flu. Some people will have it every year. It's just something that's human, and don't be scared of it.
Indeed. 10 years from now, what do you hope people say your work did for them emotionally, mentally, or spiritually?
I would like it to kind of have inspiration of them to kind of have it as a motivator, and be like, I listened to your show 10 years ago. I heard you do this episode with this guest about mental health, and their story really resonated with me, and hearing their tips actually helped me. That's really what I really do the show for. Right? I don't do it for the views. I don't do it for money, which are all good things to have, and it's a plus. But just to have people be able to get something from it and really feel relatable to it, and finally have a kind of a answer to what they're going through, is really all I care about. This is something I wish I had when I was growing up. And so I want people that are younger than me to have this resource now, than wait till you're 18, 19, even 21, 22, to be able to not be scared to open up and share. I want people that are younger than me, that are in high school, middle school, and even elementary school that are going through things to not be quieted, speak up and stand up for yourself. So as long as people find courage from my episodes and from my story, I think that's really what really has really keep that's what really keeps me going is knowing that someone out there found an antidote in my story, and it makes them feel really, really good about themselves.
If a young queer listener who feels silenced right now DM'd you after this episode and said, I don't know how to keep going like this, what is the most honest answer you would give them? Not the polished one, but the real one.
I would say keep fighting. It's a hard thing for someone to go through. To just be open, be true to yourself. The only person that's gonna live that life that you've decided is yours. Don't let other people think it's not going to affect their lives. Even though that they think it is going to affect them, they do not affect you at all. They don't have to live the lifestyle that you're going to have. They're not going to understand it. Be open to yourself and be your true self. And it's really a thing of you don't really need to listen to what other people say. It's one of those things that opinions don't matter. What matters is that you're comfortable in yourself. You're proud of who you are. And if you're proud, that's really all that you should be worried about, is that if you're happy with it, screw what everyone else thinks.
Indeed. And now it's time for a rapid fire. You ready?
I'm ready.
First word that comes to mind when you hear the phrase mental health.
Therapy.
One thing people get wrong about you at first glance.
Ooh, I think how tall I am.
Mm. More terrifying, hitting publish on a vulnerable episode or having a hard conversation with someone you love.
Probably hard conversation with someone I love.
If your younger self could watch you now, what would you be most proud of?
How far I've come and how everything really has turned out and how successful everything's been. I think that's what I'd be really most proud of.
Mhm. One toxic belief you had to unlearn to become the version you are now.
Opinions don't matter and comments don't affect me at all. Um, and I think just having the stereotypical, you're not supposed to open up because you're a man, letting that word of mine go, therapeutic.
Mhm. What's harder, getting guests to tell the truth or holding yourself accountable to your own truth on the mic?
I would say probably getting guests to be truthful.
Okay. I gotta fix that. Um, One episode of Lethal Venom you'd recommend to someone who's never listened before, and why that particular episode?
The two episodes that I really like is one is solo, one's a guest. The solo one is one that I did get kind of focused on my classmates. That episode, which is literally called My Classmates, I literally went through my whole yearbook and just called out every student and gave my honest opinion about them. So if you really want and really like to hear tea-filled episode and like drama, that's a good one. And then I guess one that I really, really have enjoyed doing that I've posted so far has been kind of the interview I talked about earlier was with a lady. Her name was Adrienne Caldwell. The episode title is called Unbroken. That episode, you hear her full story, and we kind of scratch the surface of her life. If you really want like a really impactful story of like traumatic and like you think that your life, it's an episode to be like, I have the hardest life, and then it's one of those episodes that say, "Okay, listen to this episode, and then after that, tell me if you think your life's harder than that." It's one of
Hmm.
those things. So, those are the two episodes I would highly recommend for people that have never heard of it for just kind of the vulnerability and rawness of.
Okay. What's your personal red flag in a guest pitch?
Hmm. I haven't really had a red flag yet. I would
Okay.
say, hmm. I guess if it was more I feel like I can kind of determine when stuff is AI or it's not. This might be controversial a little bit. I don't really like it for assistants to kind of message me about guests because it's like I don't know if it's like it's kind of their word over their own guest ones. So I don't necessarily like when assistants message me a little bit about them because it's just like, oh, here's why I think this guest is perfect for your show, and
Hmm.
it's and which I have accepted some and they've been fantastic, but that's kind of a little red flag. I'm like, I don't really like assistants reaching out. I kind of want it to be more of a direct, like the person that's appearing on it, sim messaging me.
Okay. If you had to describe Lethal Venom in 3 words only, what would they be?
Compelling, captivating. I'm trying to think of it.
Exhilarating.
I guess so. I was trying to think of something that was like a synonym for chaotic, but I didn't want to use another one that started with a C. So I was like, what's another word for chaotic? um, Wild. We'll use wild.
There you go. Weirdest or funniest thing that's ever happened while recording?
Oh, Lord, there's so many things. I've had my cat walk in front of the camera before, and it's just like this huge hair blob walking across the screen. I've heard I, when I lived at Auburn, I had a roommate, and it was just always like a thing of my roommate coming in the door slamming stuff, and you're just like, please tell me that background noise did not pick up what is going on in the kitchen.
Hmm.
I've had like lawnmowers outside. It's just I've had also some weird tech problems where it's like nothing works and nothing really seems to plan out. So I have not had very odd moments, but I've had chaotic ones of cats interrupting and um my chair broke. I think at one point during the interview my chair broke and I about fell and slipped out of my chair. So that was fun to,
Hmm.
with my podcast only being audio though, people didn't see it, but it was very embarrassing for the guests to see. So
Yeah, because I bet
but
you felt like they saw you, right?
oh, I know 100% that they probably did. I was just like try to keep like some composure, but I was like, nope.
Indeed. When you're spiraling, what's the first tool you reach for? Music, movement, journaling, or the mic?
Music for the main part.
Hmm.
It's helped me so much in life. It's helped me get through so many things. I would 100% will always say music.
Indeed. What's one mental health myth you wish would disappear tomorrow?
Hmm, a myth. I would say probably the that old saying that everything kind of is common, like for anxiety. A lot of I was always told that anxiety had like you you could see anxiety from like chest pains if you can't breathe, have tightness right here, and in actuality it actually is not like that at all. It's more of a there's other factors that can trigger anxiety. So I think I think the stereotypical symptoms that you would see in most mental health cases, I think that could be a myth I would like to
Hmm.
see gone, because a lot of people tend to get the wrong impression of, or I think get the wrong impression of what kind of symptoms you're expected to have versus what what you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, I got you. As a man talking openly about depression and anxiety, oh man, my throat. What reaction surprised you the most from other men?
I think just how open and honest I am about it.
Hmm.
I haven't really had a huge reaction of like, "Whoa, you're talking about that."
Hmm.
I've had a lot of older men be very in awe and kind of proud that someone my age is really opening up and really sharing what they're honestly going through.
Hmm.
So that's kind of been the only reaction I remembered getting that's been kind of like jarring. But other than that, it's been more of like supportive. I think they kind of would have expected it from me, honestly.
Okay. Fill in the blank. Silence almost cost me blank, but speaking up gave me blank.
I would say staying silent almost cost me my life, and speaking up um made me brave and and very strong.
You say you speak nothing but the truth. What's one truth you are still scared to fully step into?
Hmm. That's a good. I don't. To my knowledge, I don't think there's nothing I've not held back on my show that I can think of at the moment. I think
Hmm.
I've anything that you hear. Um. Well. Okay. I think like on the like sex side, I've not really shared about my encounters doing that because I did do like an episode kind of early on, but a lot of stuff had changed, so I've not really told those stories. So that's kind of something I haven't shared anything. But um, other than that, there's really nothing else that I've been held in back that I've not said on the show.
Okay. If you could have any guest, living, dead, or fictional, on Lethal Venom, who are you calling?
Oh Lord, everybody! It's like
Hmm.
whoever has not come on. Oof, that's hard for me to pick. Um, oh, I don't know. That's such a hard answer for me. There's so many people I can't pick.
What's your go-to comfort show, song, or movie after recording a heavy episode?
Hmm. I don't really have a go-to after that. I don't think I don't really have a go-to show on when after I record. I don't really have that reaction of, oh, I gotta go listen to something to get my mind off of it.
Hmm.
I think I've just been so numb to it now, and I've heard so many stories. It doesn't really affect me much anymore. Um, but I will say before I opened up, my go-to movie was always Monsters Inc. If I was always in a bad mood or was always sad or anything, that movie always cheered me up. So I would say in the past, Monsters Inc. and um, music's hard because there's so many. But for a movie, I can hands down say Monsters Inc. Probably.
Okay. Biggest lesson that podcasting has taught you about people?
That it's very hard work and that it's a lot more work than people think it is. I kid you not, have the amount of times I've heard people say, "Oh, podcasting's so simple, it's so easy, this is such an easy job to do." You say that until you finish recording. The recording part's the easiest part. the editing, posting, and scheduling, that's a whole different part that people don't talk about. So, when I hear people that always say, "Oh, it's such an easy thing," nope, it's not easy. Um, I like to try to have um be honest and be like, it's not easy work. You do have to put time and effort out of your schedule to put it into the show, but I'd say for most people that it's not easy.
Mm-hmm. All right. Finish the sentence. 5 years from now, I want people to say Lethal Venom helped them blank.
I would say I want it to help them heal from personal pain or struggles that they were going through at the time, and I want it kind of would like for it to be a kind of a way for them to be escaped from life, or that it help me
Mm-hmm.
heal.
Okay. What would you say to, no, rapid fire's over. What would you say to the listener who feels muted right now, maybe in their family, their community, or even in their own head, but is terrified of the fallout if they start speaking up?
I would say, if you're someone that's really going through a really particularly hard time, do not let the inner demons win. Do not let them take you down. Open up and talk to someone that you really trust. And this can be a friend, it could be a stranger, it could be a person at work, it could be your family, teacher, um, boyfriend, girlfriend, just anyone that you really trust. Find that person that you have a really good special bond with, and just open up and just let it all out. Don't ever keep it bottled up like I did for so many years. I want people to be like, if you need to have openness. You need to be open and honest with your true self. Um, do that. And um, I can guarantee you that you'll feel so much better once everything that you have been building up for however amount of time will go away, and it'll get a whole lot better.
If this episode were the only time someone ever heard your voice, what is the one truth you refuse to leave unsaid?
I think the one thing I would not, hmm, that I've had an easy life. I've not. I've not had it, and that's kind of if this is the only time people hear me, I just want people to really know that I didn't fake any of the stories I've told. I've not said all this for sympathy reasons, for views. This has been honestly me, and you can ask anyone that knows me personally. This is not made up. This is not. I've pulled this out of my butt. It's 100% the truth, and if this is the only time people hear it, I want people to know that this is my honest truth. That everything that you have heard today has not been falsified or twisted in any kind of way.
Mm, okay, okay. Any would like to leave the listening and watching audience with any ongoing words? I hate to say last words.
um, live life the way I know it's kind of cliche, but kind of live your life till it's the last day, really. I've kind of have really gone in through life not really planning anything. Going with the flow has been it's been so relaxing for some people have to plan, and I understand that some people have to have like a daily plan and all that, but if you just live life by the seat of your pants, live life like that. I've done it. I've done just fine. I don't really plan anything anymore. I just wake up and I'm just like, okay, I woke up. We'll just see how the day goes, and it can either go in a good direction, bad direction, but just live life. You have some little time, and everyone's so serious about everything. I think we just need more openness and more honesty with other people. I think that's what we really need and truly need to have to value from it is to be open and to be just kind of carefree about anything and not really care what people really have to say.
Indeed. Well, thank you for joining this conversation with More Than Therapy and our guest, Noah May. Today, Noah reminded us what happens when a lifetime of being silenced collides with the decision to finally speak your mind, live openly, and tell the truth even more when it shakes the room. His journey from quiet kid to bold storyteller and host of the Lethal Venom podcast shows that comedy, chaos, and hard conversations can all sit at the same table and still lead to healing. If Noah's story resonated with you, be sure to check out his work and follow his voice beyond this episode. And if you heard yourself in his struggle, the silence, the shame, the pressure to shrink, let this be your reminder that your story is not over and your voice is not optional. Keep doing the work, keep seeking support, and remember, you are and always have been more than your pain and more than your past. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the More Than Therapy podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Until then, be well and continue to be great.
The hardest thing with mental health is it becomes a spiral. And sometimes all you literally need is a little catalyst to help you to stop.
When I'm in pain or when I'm suffering, I have a really hard time reaching out and asking for help.
I know it's so hard to talk about mental health, but when you don't talk about it, you feel more isolated, you feel more alone.
If you feel something in your gut, if you feel something's wrong, you should, talk to them about that.
Sometimes starting a conversation with someone about their mental health can seem awkward, but your support can make a huge difference.
And I think that that's hopeful in those really dark times.
You might not know what to say, but there are a lot of things you can say to open things up.
I know you're going through some stuff, and I want you to know I'm here.
I deal with the same issues as well.
Maybe it's me, but I was wondering if you're all right.
Learn more about how to start the conversation at seizetheawkward.org.